friends. I am Dr. Chandra Jagan Mohan. So today I came with a new topic, that is the edibles of thermal plants. Okay, don't think that what is something. See that we are going to discuss about the fuels which we are going to use in the thermal plants. See, we have been discussing about this energy scenario, different types of energies, and what are the conventional sources, what are the non-conventional sources, and thermal, hydro, wind. So all these things we have discussed in generally, we have discussed in our general discussion. So in the previous class we have discussed about especially about the thermal plants and steam engines and and their comparisons, the temperatures. So today we will discuss about the edibles of thermal plants. See, in the thermal power generation, our first aim is to generate in any power. So if I am saying thermal plant, hydropower, thermal power, so ultimately we have to produce the energy, that is electrical power. So that means if you are going to produce the electrical power, you need a turbine and you need a generator which is coupled to the turbine, and the generator must have some force. They should have some force to rotate that generator. So these plants, if you are saying thermal plants, so we need some kind of force, some kind of energy to rotate the turbine, so which will give you the mechanical power. So here, so we all know that the thermal power. So still the world is dependent to 60% on the thermal power, especially 60% on the coal. Remaining gas turbine. So if I am saying gas turbine, even the liquid fuels also we can use in the gas turbines. And along with the gas fuels. And also we can use the powder coal also there. So why we are doing like that means, see, we can go for gas fuels, so which are less harmful to the world, to the environment. So the energy, the cost constraint is the first thing. So the cost constraint is not there. So I can go for the gas stove. For only, I can run with only the gas fuels. So if I am running with the gas fuel, so that may be due to the lack of other sources like water there and less space, and maybe the requirement is less requirement is less the less power is needed, but or otherwise it may be we need it for a short period of time, or we need it only to meet the peak loads, peak demand, which will be there for very less time. So that's that much how costly it's telling that using of the gas fuels. Yes, we are also using the gas and liquid fuels, which is somewhat better compared to the gas regarding the cost constraint. So there we are using different even kerosene, even petrol, crude oil, LDH, all these things. So but first comes the coal. But first comes the coal. The most popular fuel used in the thermal plants in the world is the coal. So we are having different options, alternatives for running a thermal plant, depended on the availability, depended on the storage, depended on the cost, depended on the transportation, depended on the requirement. So sometimes if you want to generate it, the power very fastly and shut down it very fastly, so there we are going to use for the gas fuels. Rapid growth, rapid stopping, we can go for gas fuels. So depended on the requirement and depended on the area, depended on the water, all these things we are doing. So it is needed for us to analyze these fuels. What are the different fuels? So basically different fuels we can use as coal, liquid fuels, gas fuels. So among the coal, what are the different types of coals? What are the different options of liquid fuels? What are the different options of gas fuels? So it is needed for us to understand these fuels. So the spending of fuel is directly proportional to the cost of production. The spending of fuel is directly proportional to the amount of power generated. The spending of fuel is directly proportional to the amount of thermal energy which is produced. So the fuel is the basic thing, the basic energy, basic food of a thermal plant. So here we are having three options. One is in solid state, one is in liquid state, other is in gas state. And these things we have to analyze because these fuels are directly proportional to the cost, proportional to the thermal efficiency proportional to the power generated. So first we'll discuss about the coal. First of all, we all know how these fuels are formed. These fuels, we are calling them as fossil fuels. Fossil fuels. So because we are getting from the fossils, from the ground. So whenever this is a geological process to the peat. So some plants, some animals will decompose and store. Slowly they will, after dying, they will slowly move into the below layers of the earth. They will be moving slowly. So if the amount of distance they are going down, so amount of pressure they will be having, and temperature. See, this pressure for so many years, so much of time, so they will form as the coal, they will form as the oil, they will form as the gases. So that's why they are calling it as petro. Petro means rock in the Greek word. So it's like it's coming from the rock. So rock is inside the top layers of the earth. So it is below the rock. So that's the name. So petro is the rock, is Greek word. So they call it is under the rock. So that means it is under the earth. So this solid thing will be formed as a coal. So it is made up of carbon with some pressure and temperature. If the pressure is more, if the pressure becomes more, the same thing can form as a diamond and different things. So depending on the pressure, how much pressure it has undergone will decide the material which is developed with the carbon. So the pressure and time will decide the formation of the coal or the formation of the diamond. So this is a common thing. So the peat with pressure over a time will form the coal or the gas or the oil. So this is what everybody knows. So that is the basic information about the coal. So what are the different things? What are the different things in this coal? So we are now discussing about the solid fuel to the thermal plant, solid fuel. So it is also called as the black gold. Coal is also called as the black gold. See, there are 4 rankings among the coal. So first and finest thing is the anthracite. Anthracite. It's in very black and it's very hard. That's why you can call it as hard coal. So this anthracite, after this anthracite, next comes to the bituminous. Yes, anthracite is also formed by the bituminous under the mountains. So that means more pressure. So bituminous, if it is the same bituminous coal, if it was due to the ecological process, if it comes under the mountains with more pressure, it will form, the same bituminous will form as a more better coal, that is the anthracite. So under more pressure, so it will come under folded mountains, it will rocks, under the rocks and folded mountains, it will be there. If it is there, the bituminous coal, it will form as an anthracite. So it is the best of all the coals, of all the fuels, but it's available. Due to its availability, it is very less available. High quality and less available. So it is costly. So after the anthracite, that is the bituminous, and after the bituminous, subbituminous, and after the subbituminous, lignite. So lignite is the thing which we are using to ignite in the most of the thermal plants. So lignite is the material, famous material, popular material used to ignite in the thermal plants. So because it is cheap among all these things. So you can see this bituminous. So it is almost like a stone. It's looking like a stone. So why we are importing coal from China? Because that is with more quality, more harder. The more harder means less moisture it is containing. Less moisture means more calorific value. So okay, this is almost looking like a coal. So this is called as a soft coal. So because from this soft coal only the hard coal came, that is the anthracite. So this is also not an ordinary thing. This is a second grade. So this comes with the great pressure in the earth's crust. It comes with the great pressure in the earth's crust. So don't think that this is, so with some more pressure, the anthracite this is giving birth to the anthracite, the top quality in the world. So it is having higher, it is more efficient than all the coals except the anthracite. And if you look at the anthracite, see, it is almost looking like a granite stone. So it is very harder. It is more harder than the bituminous. So that means more pressure. It has undergone more pressure than the bituminous, which is having very high calorific value, and it is limited. It is available in a limited. So it is called as hard coal. So hard coal is nothing but the anthracite. Soft coal is nothing but the bituminous. Both are good quality coals. Top 1 and 2 quality coals. Next, we'll move to the If you see, anthracite coal is the best coal in the world. First quality coal. It is a jet black color with metallic luster. It is shining like metal. You can see. It is jet black. Finest black. Shining with a metallic luster. So, how much carbon it will be having? It will be having 86% to 98% carbon. How much carbon the anthracite is having? So, highest percentage of carbon. So, it burns very slowly. It exhausts very slowly. If you go to the bituminous coal, it is about 69% to 86% of carbon. It will be having 69 to 86% of carbon. And next grade is the subbituminous, which is less than 69% of carbon. So if it is less than 69%, it is called as the subbituminous. Furthermore, less, it is called as the lignite. So if you come back and see this slide, so what is it is looking like? So it is looking in the brown color. So that's why it is also called as the brown coal. See, the coal is called as the black gold, and hard coal is the anthracite, soft coal is the bituminous, brown coal is the lignite. Brown coal is the lignite with 70% of water, 70% of moisture. So this is the last among the coals, solid fuels we are going to use in the thermal plants if you are using this. So you are getting more pollution. So, but more economy. That's why people are using. And in this lignite, we are using with less, the coal lignite with less sulfur values. According to the rule, according to the rules proposed by the world organizations, pollution organizations. So, only 1% of, 0.1% of sulfur we are using. Sulfur, the lignite containing with 0.1% of sulfur we are going to use, and even that it is the most polluted coal in the 4 types of coals. So that's about the solid we are using in the thermal plants. So if you compare, see the table, if you compare, so heat is 1300 to 1500 BTU per LB. For bituminous, 1100 to 1500. For subbituminous, 8500 to 1300. For lignite, 4000 to 8300. If you go to moisture, anthracite, less than 50%. So that is 86, less than 15%. And for bituminous, 2 to 15%. Subbituminous, 40 to 45%. And lignite, 30 to 60%. And fixed carbon, that is 85 to 98%, the carbon content. For bituminous, 45 to 85%. For subbituminous, 35 to 45%. and lignite 25 to 30%, only up to 30% carbon will be there in the lignite coal, which we are commonly using in all the thermal plants. And ash is for anthracite is 10 to 20%, and for bituminous 3 to 12%. If you observe, the ash is less. So the bituminous is releasing less ash than the anthracite, even though the anthracite is best than the bituminous. But in this point, the bituminous is better. The subbituminous also emits less ash, so that is 10%. And lignite is from 10 to 50%. And sulfur. So sulfur, so that is 0.6 to 8% in anthracite. Bituminous 0.7 to 4%, and subbituminous less than 2%, and lignite 4 to 0.4 to 1%. So 1% is the, even that 1% we are going to decrease with some process, and that coal we are going to use, that lignite we are going to use. So what about the chlorine content in these four types of coals? So that is 340 to 40 ppm in the anthracite, and 340 plus or minus ppm in the bituminous, 120 plus or minus 20 ppm in the subbituminous, and 120 plus or minus 20 ppm in the lignite, same as that of subbituminous. So this is about the solid fuels. So if you go to the liquid fuels, so we are using different types of fuels in the thermal plants for producing the power. So generally the oils we are using for automobile or ships. So the oils we are using are the heavy fuel oils. So generally we are going to use the heavy fuel oils for the electrical power generation. So along with this, we are going to use many oils, that is distillate oil. So this is normally used in the diesel engine, distillate oil, which is normally used in diesel engine. So but this distillate oil we are using in the thermal plants, especially for the isolated grid. If the plant is an isolated grid, there we are using this distillate oil. So these fuels, liquid fuels, we are also using in the gas turbines. Okay. So next thing is low sulfur heavy stock, LSHS. This is the most commonly used thing in the for the power generation. So this is carried in the insulated tank lorries. So it is having a very good calorific value. So LSHS, low sulfur heavy stock oil. So this is having good calorific value. Similarly, we are using the LDO, light diesel oil. So this is also one of the most common things using in industries also. So next thing is furnace oil. So it will be like a dark color. It is a dark viscous residual fuel. It will be like a dark viscous residual. So next thing we are using is the HSD, high speed compression HSD oil. So high speed oils. This fuel is a high speed compression ignition engines. This we are using. Generally we are using for the locomotives, commercial vehicles, stationary diesels. Along with this along with in our thermal plants. So these are the commonly used uh, liquid, commonly used liquid fuels. So which emits lesser pollution when compared to the solid fuels. So mainly we are using two types, that is HSD, high speed diesel, and light diesel oil, LDO. HSD and LDO, these are the main components we are using in the thermal power plants as a liquid fuel. So if you observe this, so there are so many variations here, that is heavy fuel oil, distillate oil, and LS, HS, and LEO, furnace oil, HSD. So these are the different options. So among this, we are using mainly we are using the HSD and LEO, high speed diesel and light diesel oil. Next, we will see about the gas turbine fuels. So even though we can use the liquid also here and the powdered coal also here, so different gases, paraffins, are used in the gas turbine. That methane, ethane, propane, octane, dedicane, that is nothing but the kerosene. So here we are mainly using our gasoline and the kerosene. So that means gasoline is the petroleum and the kerosene. Petroleum and the kerosene. So methane. Everybody probably has heard about the methane. So it is a very simplest hydrocarbon. So it is available in the atmosphere. So this is most commonly used in the world. This fuel, methane, is most commonly used. So methane is the simplest hydrocarbon, consisting of one carbon atom and 4 hydrogen atoms. So with one carbon atom and 4 hydrogen atoms, it has formed as a methane. So it is a powerful greenhouse gas. It is inflammable. It is used. It is famous worldwide. It is famous. And it is the principal, the basic component of the natural gas. It is the basic component of the natural gas. So methane is the basic thing of the natural gas. Next, come to the ethane. So it is also a simple hydrocarbon. Contains a single carbon-carbon bond. So ethane after methane. So this is also one of the basic component of the natural gas. So it is a formation of carbon on carbon. So simplest carbon-carbon bond, simplest hydro. It is also a simplest hydrocarbon forming a carbon-carbon bond. Next thing is the propane. So this looks very similar. These things will look very similar. So methane, ethane, propane, all these things. So because these are will be these common things in the natural gas. So what is the main purpose of this propane? Propane used in the liquefied petroleum gas for thermal use. So this propane is mainly used as the liquefied LPG, LPG, liquefied petroleum gas. So this is propane is mainly used there as the LPG. And the next thing is the gasoline or petrol. So nowadays, what is the cost of these things? What is the cost of these things? And now you may have understood why you are not using these things commonly. Why we have gone for the majority have gone for the coal fuels, coal-based plants. So this gasoline is a transparent petroleum derived flammable liquid that is used primarily as fuel in most spark ignited internal combustion engines. So that's that. So this is the thing which you are using most commonly for our vehicles, IC engines, internal combustion engines. So that's what is the gasoline. So even with this we can run a gas turbine, except methane or ethane or propane. We can run a gas turbine, and so that is the option the gas turbine is having, including the powdered coal. So these are commonly used in the gas turbines. So this gasoline is the common thing which we are using in our daily vehicles. So kerosene, everybody know. Kerosene is nothing but otherwise called as lamp oil. We can also call this kerosene as the lamp oil. Its common name is the lamp oil. So first kerosene lighting, we were using the help of this kerosene. Lighters, lanterns. So we were using this kerosene stove. Next we came to the normal stoves, gas stoves. First we were using the kerosene stoves. So if you go back to the 20 or 30 years, commonly they were using these gas stoves and gas lanterns. Nobody knows about this kerosene stoves and kerosene lanterns. Nobody knows about this gas stoves. So now they has gone. Gas stove has become popular. Even there were earlier stage there were vehicles, cars, 4-wheelers which used to run with the kerosene. not with the petrol. Okay, that's the kerosene. It is well known. And also, last thing which we are using is the paraffin. Paraffin also, which is a colorless thing we are going to use in the these turbines. So it is derived from the petroleum or coal. We can derive it from petroleum or coal. It is a mixture of hydrocarbon molecules containing between 20 and 40 carbon atoms. So it is a hydro and carbon. It is a mixture of hydro and carbon. So minimum of 20 to 40 carbon atoms it will be having. So these are the options we are having. So if you come to the coal, that is anthracite, bituminous, subbituminous, lignite. So the anthracite is the hard coal, bituminous is the soft coal, and lignite is the brown coal. And if you come to the oil, heavy fuel oils, distillate oils, and LSHS, low sulfur heavy stock oils with this is a low sulfur heavy stock. So fuel, which is having very high calorific value, and LDO, light diesel oil, furnace oil, HSD, high speed diesel oil. So most popularly even though LSHS is having very good calorific value because it is costly, most popularly we are using are the HSD and LDO. So high speed diesel and light diesel oil. So if you come to the gas turbine, so gasoline or petrol or paraffin or kerosene or methane and ethane and propane. So these are the options we are having in the solid, liquid and gas as the fuels for the thermal plants with different costs, different efficiencies, different calorific values, different availabilities, different pollution levels. So I hope you might have gained some clarity about these fuels which we are using for the thermal plants. Thank you very much.
Like, share and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for more updates.